So, yesterday, Phoenix City Council passed an ordinance for the parks that many people, including myself, opposed heavily. And they opened the motion at about, I want to say 2:30, maybe no, about like 3 o'clock. And comments didn't end until like 9. So they had their little presentation and then hours and hours of public comment. And a lot of these people were medical professionals and lawyers and mutual aid organizations and lobbyists, and all of them were pleading with the city council to reverse this ordinance, or at least work with them to reword it to not be so harsh, because it basically criminalizes any medical care or feeding within the park system that is not permitted by the city. And they've graciously decided to permit 2 events per park per month. Um, so gracious of them. Assuming that these permits actually get through the system, they will be on site to watch these permitted gatherings and offer assistance. And what gets me the most is that people have told me I should run for city council. This is exactly the reason why I won't, because Circle the City is a huge organization, relatively speaking, that works directly with homeless people, that provides them with critical care. And they partner with the city extensively. And multiple people from Circle the City spoke to the city and said, this ordinance will harm us. And instead of working with them in good faith, they passed it anyway to soothe the wealthy white people in North Phoenix that will vote them out if they don't do this or do something. That seems to be the case. Do something. And so when people ask why I won't run for city council, this is exactly why. I think I'm making more of an effort. I think I'm making more of a difference feeding people myself than having to do all this, whatever this is, all this pontificating and going back and forth and placating people and then not voting in their best interest. This ordinance criminalizes people like me that see feeding people and giving them water and driving them to rehab and being that stopgap for them as criminals. They're criminalizing us. And the system as it is right now gives homeless people 3 options, which is obey, suffer, or die. And this ordinance guarantees that more people will suffer and die because they're resistant to treatment, or they're resistant to obedience, let's put it that way. As one council member said, if there were a bed for every person, they wouldn't take it. I disagree. I think if there was a bed for every person without strings attached where they could come and go as they please, then yes, they would take it. The problem is that the city budget requires data. It requires some kind of return on investment. They have to prove that people stayed out of homelessness or stayed clean. So they have to do all of this metric testing. And I understand how that works. I get it. But human lives aren't a profit loss statement. A person may not take resources because they can't bring their dog, or they can't stay with their partner, or they've been in this neighborhood for years and they don't want to get bused to a different part of town they've never been to before. Or they are severely mentally ill and they do not trust the system. And I can't blame them, because I've heard many stories from people that have been treated like absolute garbage by Phoenix PD and by the city of Phoenix. So why would they? Even if what you're offering them sounds good, why would they trust you to take it? After the sweeps, after police brutality, after, the summer heat being 110 degrees outside, and you keep shuffling them around from place to place, why would they? Yeah, they trust me because I'm giving them a sandwich and water, and I'm not forcing them to do anything. And some of you might think that that's enabling, and that's your call. If you want to call me an enabler for feeding people and giving them water, that's on you. That's fine. What bothers me is the people that like to pull Christianity into it, like one of the guys that called in for the council meeting. Jesus literally fed people and slept on wherever he could He slept wherever there was a bed, essentially. He washed their feet. He counseled them. He wasn't hanging around the tabernacle just talking to the other rabbis. He was helping people and getting in trouble the entire time. There's nothing that like gets to me more than a legalistic Christian, because I feel like they miss the point. And I feel like Jesus would be living a lot more closely to my life than your sheltered life in your nice little subdivision in North Phoenix. Like, calm down, okay? I've had people ask me, can I give you money? And that's not the point. I don't want your money to do more. I'm already maxed out as it is. What I really want is for everyone else to also help in any way that you possibly can. And honestly, right now, I think it would be great if you all would help Circle the City and Andre House, because they're going to be struggling with this for at least 6 months. That was the provisionary period that the city of Phoenix gave themselves. They gave themselves 6 months to see how it goes. Just conveniently overlapping in the summer where more people are going to die because it's so hot. But whatever. I'm not going to stop feeding people and giving them water. If that makes me a criminal, whatever. I'd rather not be fined or arrested. I hope I'm not. I hope this isn't an admission of guilt, because I'm not going to stop doing it. I knew they weren't going to listen to me. I had hope. I had hope for about, I don't know, hour. I was like, we've got to get through to them. I mean, all of these professionals with way more credentials than me, citing studies and even law. I mean, even like constitutional law, like civil rights. It didn't make a difference. It didn't matter what any of us said. They'd already, poured funding and time into their PowerPoint and their picture of all the needles. I've never personally seen needles at parks, but I'm just one person. What do I know? They just kind of listened to us to placate us, and they hemmed and hawed about it. And I don't want politicians to be surprised when we don't trust them. I know that they all want to be authentic right now. It's like a real hot thing to do, but there's nothing authentic about this. It just seems cruel and unusual, and you're criminalizing a group of people that are trying to help their fellow American citizens who are adults, who have their own agendas, they have their own feelings. A lot of the homeless people I encountered actually grew up in Arizona. They're from here. They didn't just wander in here and plop down and decide to be homeless. They're someone's child. And the root of homelessness is abuse, is isolation, is falling through the cracks. Some of them have traumatic brain injuries, they're SMI. They're on all these services, and I can't help but wonder if it would be cheaper to literally just give them a bed that they can come and go as they please. Don't you think? Because they're all on food stamps and access. Wouldn't it be cheaper to just give them a bed? I don't know how much beds are. Mine came from IKEA. It was like $200. So I know the city, they love to throw around their millions of dollars in the budget for the Office of Homeless Solutions, but I really do appreciate them. I don't want to degrade the city workers. I genuinely appreciate everything that they've done. I know they're passionate about their work. It's just, it's within the system that causes this problem. So all the little solutions that they've done don't fix the larger problems, and that's why I choose to work outside of the system. So I'm very upset that this ordinance passed. I feel like, we have organizations around the world calling it inhumane, and this is just another reason. Every time Arizona makes the news, it is never for a good reason. I want it to be for a good reason. Can we get it together, please? Stop violating human rights for 5 minutes. This is how you make the news, and I want to make the news in a good way,